When Mr. Ramaphosa said ANC is corruption number one, is accused number one in corruption, that statement went unchallenged by the ANC itself and by the Integrity Commission of the ANC. So therefore, I'm sitting here, I'm taking it as a fact because it was never challenged. Now what we have the boss of a corrupt institution that must now sit and preside over a report by judges and so on. I'm nervous about that. I must just table that, Chair. That a person says, I'm running a corrupt institution, is number one accused. A boss of corruption is now at the apex of receiving a report by judicial officers. It's a worry for me. I mean, also himself is not totally clean. There's pala issues and so on, but that's not what I was saying. But I just thought I must just table that, Chair, which then means that the role of Parliament can be de-emphasized because we're dealing with rogueness at all levels. So therefore, the role of Parliament must be strong. And I want to respect some of the things that have been said by the legal people here, the doctrine of separation of powers. And I would, with all the excitement that could be around in this House, I would really appeal to members that I think let's stick to our knitting. We're an oversight body. Let's do the oversight. Let those that have got the active role do what they need to do as it were, so that we can keep to ours as a body that must do oversight. So I want to suggest, Chair, that there are two institutions, there are two processes that we must oversight. The one process that we must oversight is this judicial commission. This judicial, and I think before I go further, I think let's be clear, first and foremost, that some of the expectation by the market, by the public and all of that about the importance of the Judicial Commission of Inquiry might be misplaced. That excitement might be misplaced because the fact of the matter is that a Judicial Commission of Inquiry, their findings and recommendations are not legally binding in the first instance. So I've never been excited about these commissions. They are not legally binding, and there could be a whole range of reasons for this, and that's not what we're here for. But bottom line is that we have people that are dying every day. We are investing time and energy on an institution that cannot find a person guilty or innocent, that cannot ascribe liability, but want to spend all the time on this body. I'm struggling to understand why we're doing this. But be that as it may, I'm suggesting that, I'm going to make 5 suggestions. I'm suggesting that we oversight this body. And the legal opinion made 2 points around this, that we need to do 2 things, oversight and scrutinize. Part of what we must scrutinize are the terms of reference. So therefore, the first point in terms of oversighting this judicial body is to demand or request the terms of reference for this committee to scrutinize to see if this, because one of the things I got worried about when Mr. Ramaphosa was dealing with the terms of reference, he was going through all kinds of hairy-fairy stuff about the longevity of this and some long-term strategy about almost like how to rebuild a strong criminal justice system. Yes, that is important. But right now, we're in a state of emergency right now. We have 121 dockets that have been archived. We've got 51 political killings dockets that are not being acted upon. We've got an urgent issue right now. So we can't have, that's why we therefore need those terms of reference scrutinized here to make sure that they are focused for a short-term delivery, as it were. So I'm saying, Chair, there are two things we must oversight. One is that Judicial Commission, but the other is a criminal investigation. I think we must be clear that this judicial inquiry does not suspend criminal investigation. General Mkhwanazi must continue with the criminal investigation, must arrest people that he must arrest. I think we must make it clear, Chair, that the fact that there is a Judicial Commission of Inquiry, that does not insulate people from being arrested tomorrow. The point must be clear, that the fact that there is this inquiry is not an insulation that, okay, I'm on holiday now. No, there's no holiday. So I'm saying the committee must make it clear that the Mkhwanazi must arrest people tomorrow, the next day, and all of that. And we must supervise what Mkhwanazi is doing. As this committee must come here, give regular reports so that we can give him all the support he needs. And then, Chair, one other thing that got me worried in this process is that I think we are creating all kinds of technicalities for people to get away with murder in this thing. There's a dispensation that applies to politicians. Politicians are not governed by LRA, but there's a dispensation that applies to officials. Officials are LRA material. I get nervous when I just hear somebody overnight, absence of leave. I don't even know that terminology in the LRA space, but be that as it may, what we should advise is that officials that are not politicians must follow process proper. For instance, this General CB, as an example, who were told is on leave of absence, one would have preferred that there should first and foremost be a proper disciplinary process that is in place. You're given time to say, give me reasons why in the next 24 hours you cannot be put on precautionary suspension and all of that, all of the legal LRA processes as it were, so that tomorrow we must not use this process as a procedural issue, and that would now all of a sudden become a technicality to absolve him, even on other things as it were. So we want to encourage that how you deal, because there is a lot of officials that are involved here. There's a Mkhotsi there, I don't even know where he fits in the scheme of things and all of that. All I'm saying is that let's just make sure that in this exuberance that is out there, proper processes are followed. And then, Chair, I want to propose as well that I think we should also have a multi-party parliamentary oversight to protect witnesses. This whole case will turn on the protection of witnesses, something that South Africa is terrible at. People are going to die in this process. We don't want another Babita situation. So what is it? There has to be a very clear pronouncement about how to protect the witnesses. And I don't hear what's happening on that space, Chair. And the last point, Chairperson, is that in terms of resources, I think there must be a pronouncement that is made that the criminal investigation must be properly resourced. And what's going to happen now, we're going to have some kind of, I'm sure, special appropriations process to resource this judicial inquiry with findings that are not legally binding. We're going to put all the money there. And then when Mkhwanazi wants money to get all kinds of gadgets and all kinds of specialization, all kinds of support on something that must happen and must arrest people, and then he hasn't got the resources. So I'm saying, Chair, can we ensure that the issues of resources, particularly for criminal investigation, is a box that we must tick? Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Manya. Honorable Nomvalo.
Yeah, thank you very much, Chair. Chair, I just want to start my submission by dispelling a notion that if we initiate our own process, then that will be tantamount to precipitating some duplication. I think that is neither here nor there in the context of separation of powers, Chairperson, and in the context of our constitutional responsibility to oversee the work of the executive. The establishment of the Commission of Inquiry is just an executive decision, which has got nothing to do with what Parliament is expected to do in this context. Subsequently, Chair, I agree fully and I align myself 100% with a proposition that says judicial commissions are nothing but just an academic exercise, which to the larger extent does not yield any positive and constructive and tangible results. In KZN, for instance, there was a commission of inquiry that was established by the former premier, the Morane Commission, which was investigating the political killings in the province. How many people have been arrested out of that? I think they completed their report some years ago. I think it was in 2017, 2016. But to date, no one has been arrested. The KZN police establishes a political killings task team. And they say, according to the version of Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi, that within the dockets that they had opened, 5 of them had instructions to arrest. Now, I'm trying to weigh here the weight between the two, commission of inquiry and an investigation that is undertaken by the police. Now, I'm saying, Chairperson, if we want to abdicate our constitutional responsibility or subvert it or donate it rather to the executive by saying, let us be confined within what has been given by the head of the executive, which to be done by the Judicial Commission of Inquiry, then we'll be running with a spear pointing it to our chest. That will be suicidal. Let's do what is expected of us in terms of the South African Constitution and in terms of the principle of doctrine of separation of powers. Because doctrine of separation of powers primarily give a distinctive role to each organ of state. And our role is to do oversight. And I think in this regard, the head of parliament has done justice by saying committees which are vested with responsibilities to oversee these entities which are involved in these allegations must do their work, must advise parliament on the way forward. So I don't know why now we're caught in between, and I don't know why we want to donate our responsibility to the executive, which is severely implicated in this regard. Because within the allegations that have been made by General Mkhwanazi, he goes on to also allege that there are judicial officers and there are prosecutors who are involved in conniving with criminal syndicates. And then we say, no, executive, do everything, we'll just oversee. So the proposition, Chair, that I'm making to this committee is that we do have a constitutional responsibility to initiate, or a constitutional right rather, to initiate our own process in this regard. In terms of Section 56 of the Constitution, which says that the National Assembly may summon any person to appear before it to give evidence on oath or affirmation or to produce documents. Section 227, the Portfolio Committee may monitor, investigate, or inquire into and make recommendations concerning any such executive organ of state. Now, There is no crisis here. The law provides direction on what must be done. And I think, Chair, if we initiate our process by saying that this committee must initiate a process, one, of calling the complainant, which is General Mkhwanazi, because in this regard, he's a complainant, to come and present to this committee in its formation the allegations and make substantiations to the allegations that he made during the press briefing. And then we will take it from there. We will make a determination of who else must be called after that presentation has been made. And we'll make a determination of which document we may need to summon to this committee. So, Chair, I think we're taking a wrong direction if we say, let's just oversee the work of the commission. I don't have confidence in a commission of inquiry. I think it's a wasteful, it precipitates wasteful expenditure. It's an academic exercise. It just plays a tick box exercise and it does not produce any tangible results. That is my submission, Chair. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honourable Member. Then go to the Honourable Member next to you, whom I don't know your surname. Apologies.
I did tell you my surname, Litchfield Shabalala.
Litchfield Shabalala.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Chair, and good morning to the honourable members. I think the beauty of speaking after so many people is that you are covered by the time it's your turn. But I just want to emphasize two things, that the allegations made by the General about the judiciary itself and the executive. So we can't sit here as these two committees and be told that this commission is different. We should have faith. We can't operate on faith. We need to operate on caution, because as it was repeated and said, our people have lost faith in the police and the judiciary system itself. And if that is lost, it falls on these two committees. So while we respect the separation of powers, but it should not be applied to confine us. So I support the fact that we should call General Mkhwanazi here to speak to these two committees. But also I support the view that as MK, we don't think that we need a commission of inquiry. There's a slide running around, too many truths are told in jest. There's been about 17 in Cyril Ramaphosa's time already. And another running joke about us, and too many truths are told in jest, is that lightning hit. And when a minister came to assess the situation, he said, we'll call a commission of inquiry to do what? To investigate lightning. So these commissions of inquiry truly waste a lot of money, and they're academic. We are past academic. It's like we are in a house and water is coming through the holes. That's where we are. We are at an emergency mode. So I would really move that as the two committees, we should scrap that judicial inquiry and let that work fall here and in the police. Thank
But
you.
where did you get this commission of lightning now?
Well, I'm going to go to the Honourable Matafa.
Thank you very much, Chair. Good morning, chairpersons, members. Chair, let me thank the presentation by the legal unit and maybe start by refreshing my memory. As far as I can remember, we are here as directed by the Speaker to determine a way in which Parliament should respond to the severe and serious allegations made by Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi. And in the directive, the Speaker then allocated the work to 3 committees because the allegations cover the areas of those particular 3 committees. Now, we receive information from the chairs that the Intelligence Committee is operating on its own, probably is their way of operating. So my view is that when we are done here, to be in line and in compliance with the letter from the Speaker, on the 23rd, we should propose to Parliament how it should respond to these allegations. So currently there is no view, but a proposal that was made by Honorable Muela that an ad hoc committee should be what we are proposing out of the three that were presented from the legal unit. Now, Chair, I want to start firstly by supporting that proposal that an ad hoc committee be established. And I can see the legal opinion is saying it has some constraints, but in terms of motivating those that will be requested to come and make representations, and I agree with the two previous speakers, that individuals, including Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi, must appear before whatever body that this sitting of today resolves upon. But that should extend to everybody who we believe or who they believe can assist the inquiry going forward. Using the word of inquiry, Chair, this joint sitting of two committees cannot establish an inquiry. It can only recommend to the Speaker. An inquiry is established as a decision of the National Assembly. Now, that is why we are here. Now, Chair, having said that, I want to put it on record that as the ANC, not only did we see the revelations by David.M Mkhwanazi as a threat to national security, but we saw it as a direct assault on the fabric of our constitutional democracy, that there can be such criminal infiltration to our police services. And as the ANC, we are committed to supporting any effort to get into the bottom of establishing the truth. Hence, we will start by saying we support the establishment of the judiciary inquiry as established by the President. And I think with all due respect, Chair, we from the inputs that members are making, I think they did not listen fully to what the President was saying. Because over and above investigating the allegations as made, the President directed that the Commission should be in a position to further establish legislative gaps that exist and that require plugging in terms of ensuring that this kind of infiltration does not happen in the future. And Chair, it is not correct that commission of inquiries are a waste of resources and do not bear results. I will give a simple example. In the Nugent Commission, very senior individuals were removed from SARS. And as we speak, SARS is now collecting 2.3 trillion of revenue. The total cost of the commission, 8.8 million. Bain and Co was forced to repay 164 million. The Zondo Commission, as we speak, Chair, it would have cost 1 billion, but it was able to have 10.6 billion assets frozen, 64 billion rands in civil claims were filed by the SIU, and SARS was able to receive 4.8 billion in unpaid taxes, and were able to also successfully recover over 5 billion. And legislative reforms were introduced as a result of the Judicial Commission of Inquiry into state capture. Now, Chair, the legal opinion as it was presented, it looked at 3 areas as far as I'm concerned. 1, the legal standing of our sitting, and accordingly they do indicate that we have the legal standing, and that supports the assertion by Honorable Nomvalo that we cannot ignore our constitutional responsibility to play oversight over the executive. So there we are fine. I would want to propose that should this sitting agree on the only proposal made of an ad hoc committee, we infuse in the terms of reference the oversight over the Judicial Commission. The president states that the 3rd month and the 6th month interim reports must be produced and be submitted. So our view is that those reports should also find their way to this body that this particular sitting will resolve upon. Because at the end of the day, maybe through you, Chair, Ndade Manyi, Ndade Mkhwanazi speaks about 3 areas: the executive, the judiciary, and the legislature. And in response, the president says once the final report is received, it will then be further sent to the speaker and the chief justice. So if there are recommendations that the report makes on action that has to be taken on the executive, the president will have the report. If parliament, in terms of legislature, has to respond, because there are members of parliament that Ndade Mkhwanazi are saying are part of this particular cabal and cartel, the parliament must act accordingly, and the chief justice must act on those magistrates and judges that Ndade Mkhwanazi is actually implicating. But of significance for the ANC, Chair, is that the president is saying, we are not going to wait for the final report to come before we act. The commission is empowered where they see evidence, where they see cause for action in terms of prosecution. Immediately those particular institutions empowered by law to take that particular action must act. And this, Chair, is not foreign. You would remember when the Zondo Commission terms of reference were amended by the president to ensure that we do not wait for the conclusion of the Zondo Commission. Referrals to investigative and prosecuting authorities are done immediately as they are picked up in those particular entities. So, Chair, I will close by saying I support the proposal that was made by Ntate Muela that we fall into a ad hoc committee. One consideration for an ad hoc committee is that the rules of parliament prohibits people appearing before committees of parliament to have legal representation present. But in an ad hoc committee, you are able to bring legal representation. So I'm saying this, Chair, because I believe that because this case has a very big potential of prosecutions and people ending up in jail, they will be reluctant to appear in front of committees where they are not covered legally. So I would support the ad hoc committee in that regard. Honorable Swartz, I think it is, speaks about a debate that they had called. I want to implore the sitting that we support that proposal. Is it Honorable Trollip? Thank you. Honorable Trollip speaks about a debate. From the ANC chair, we will be very comfortable to have that debate happen parallel to all these investigations, because we have not had a situation where political parties were able to take the nation into their confidence in terms of how they view and what they wish to happen as far as these allegations are concerned. And I think the proposal of a debate, Chair, whilst these other processes are running concurrently, is sound. So those will be my input, Chairperson. But once again, thank you very much for the legal opinion. I think it is well received, and having read all of it, I'm quite okay that it is a legal opinion and there are no gaps. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Matafa.